and a recording. Imagine the little red dot going on right now. But when I actually have to record and think about stuff, I tend to blank a little bit. Imagine if I just started, oh, hey, didn't see you there. Guys, what is going on? Hope you guys have had a good day so far. Hope you guys are having a good night so far, and I hope you all are here to dive through this, go through this journey with me. So, to preface everything, my YouTube channel, what I do is I analyze greatest game of all time lists for purposes of just like trying to create a statistical baseline to find, you know, the best of the best, the greatest of the greatest, and stuff like that. So, a lot of what I did in my first two videos was, one, getting just a overall cursory glimpse of like what are considered some of the greatest games ever made, but two, explaining the process that I want to go ahead and dive into, and go and explain the process of how I plan to dig through these lists and how I plan to analyze the data. Well, I've already started production on my latest video, which is going to revolve around the Super Mario series. But then, come December 31st, 2021, IGN released their latest updated top 100 greatest video games of all time list. And one, super cool. I'm ready to dive in. I wanted to dive into the full list, and I actually wanted to do this like a sort of a reaction of sorts, or a sort of an analysis just first glance. But the thing is, I've already seen like the end of the list. the end of the list I've already kind of seen. I already know what's number one, but I haven't seen the rest of the list, or I haven't seen much of it. So let's dive through the list and let's dig through what IGN is updating, is calling this their greatest games of all time, according to their most recent staff, because some staff have gone, some have been brought on. So it's about a reflection of what their greatest video games of all time are for that specific staff. A couple of things to start off with before going into the list. One, and IGN is really the only one that does this, but their lists kind of carry over through the years, and they only make updates, not full on like resetting and restarting every game ever. But there's not a whole lot of movement in their lists, and that kind of reflects in the numbers too. And though because IGN's lists don't move too much unless there's like a decade between them, it kind of affects the numbers when I'm analyzing them. The second thing, just before we start off, is I have seen what the number one game is, but I had not seen pretty much any of the rest of the list, so it's still going to be a pretty blind look through. And third, and most importantly of all these, this is not supposed to be a critique of IGN's list. I know there's a lot of people who have strong opinions on IGN, or about IGN just in general, but this is not a critique on them. My mindset of going into these lists is I don't care if it's a specific publication giving a certain game number one. My only process is this is now a objective stat. It's an objective stat. This is a number. This is what we have to work on. This is what's going to help us work towards consensus. So let's just treat it as such. This is not a critique of IGN. It is just an observation, and that's all this channel is really. It really is meant to just be observation. And fourth and most importantly is I'm doing this over on Twitch. So guys, if you want to follow me over on twitch.tv/theunnameedfields, I stream twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I mostly do music and rhythm games. But today I decided to spend some time doing this because I need some content for my channel. In the words of Bo Burnham, here is your content. Here is your sweet juicy content. I don't remember if that's the lyrics. Bottom line is I'm going to be referring to some of my friends in the chat who, as we comment and go through the list. So you may see some aside, hear some names here and there. I'm just on Twitch. I will put a link in the description to my channel. I'll put a link in the description to my channel when we are done, and it's all done. So with that in mind, let's dive in. Cool, look at that. Our first refresh since 2019 features some big changes. So some big changes in the IGN staff. So we get a little bit of, just looking at that. Oh shit, is that my girl Jinx from Arcane? It sure looks like her. If not, it's pretty damn close. But damn, hey, if any of y'all haven't seen Arcane yet, good lord, you are missing out on how good that show is. You need to go to Vivizia and that way BTTV. Okay, no problem, freak. Cool. So a big part of this that I wanted to highlight was that this is the current staff's 100 best games of all time. So because there's been some turnover at IGN, there's been some changes. So this is reflecting what this staff at IGN believes, which again it makes sense. But so there's probably gonna be some changes, and there's gonna be some more change than usual. I wish if I was smart, I would have brought up the list past and had those as reference as to see what kind of movement there's been. But okay, let's go ahead and dive in. So number 100. Okay, let's get a look at the first couple. So Borderlands 2 is number 100. Borderlands 2, I mean, the Borderlands series is widely loved, and it's such a specific cult following. It has such a specific cult following that, of course, it's good to see that there's at least one of the games on the list. The majority of people do believe Borderlands 2 is the best game, unless you count Tales of the Borderlands, which I'm curious to see if it'll make this list. I'm curious to see if this will make this list, but. Okay, 99, Divinity Original Sin 2. I'll be honest with you, I know close to nothing about the Divinity series. I'm close to nothing. What I do, according to this, it looks like it's loved by D&D players, as close to the best D&D experience you can get from a video game. Actually, I can think of a different one, but we'll get to that when we probably get there, because I'm 100% positive that the game that I'm thinking of made that list. But all right, have fun on the BRB freak. Now that, dang, this, man, I wonder how I feel about that. Thinking about this now. Number 98 is Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is a game that has aged poorly in the technical aspects, but like a fine wine in the story aspect, and just how impactful the game was on the industry in general. So I feel like this is probably too low for Final Fantasy VII, and it's going to affect the numbers when we eventually get to talking about the Final Fantasy series on the channel. But never played Final Fantasy VII, but I've never played Final Fantasy VII. But I'm surprised it was so low because people really love it. Yeah, exactly. My thing is, I want to say the reason why it's so low now in 2021, I guess, is because it hasn't aged well, technically speaking, on the technical level. Like I said, it's a very hard game to look at with the character models and just the pre-rendered backgrounds and everything. It doesn't look good. The problem is it pretty much popularized and created the standard that is a Western JRPG, or JRPG in the West, and pretty much made that into a viable system. So you kind of got to give the game its flowers for that. But I cannot imagine that this is not going to be the only Final Fantasy game on this series. If I almost have to 100% believe Final Fantasy VI will make it somewhere, but Dark Horse would be Final Fantasy X. I think those are probably the ones that have the closest chance of hitting any other list. Got some Midnight Munch, nice. Butter-kissed popcorners. That sounds really good. Looks like Doritos by Popcorn. Oh, actually, that does sound pretty good. Final Fantasy VII, I feel, is one of those games that if you didn't play it back then or have an appreciation for the style back then, you're probably not going to like it. I would say I agree, but my brother played it recently, or relatively recently. He played it like right after he left high school, going into college, like 5 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So definitely out of its heyday, and he loved it still. Now I think he did say that he appreciated the remake a little bit more, but it's still loved. Okay, let's keep going. So this is a pretty interesting pick. 98. I respect IGN for making that move. All right, let's go. We have Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. Monkey Island is the Monkey Island series, I believe, is Tim Schafer. I believe that's the case, and Tim Schafer is a god. Tim Schafer's a god, so every game that he's done has been fantastic. The problem is they don't sell, which is a shame. And Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I want to say this is the game that's considered the best in the Assassin's Creed series that isn't Assassin's Creed 2. That isn't Assassin's Creed 2, so this makes sense that this is probably here. After Assassin's Creed 2, a bunch of Assassin's Creed games got really, really wrecked on, critics-wise. I remember there was a whole bunch of flack coming in for Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed the one afterwards. Brotherhood was not looked at very highly because of a lot of technical issues. But out of all the mess that all those games were, Black Flag was the one that was the most highly looked upon. So it's good to see it, and I can understand it making this list. So that's cool. Lucasfilm should do a Monkey Island movie. Yes, I think that would be really cool if Lucasfilm ever comes back from the grave. Well, I'm sure it's actually still around, but it's under new management at this point. But yeah, the Monkey Island games, just if you ever make a movie, you gotta have Tim Schafer involved, because he is the bloodline. He is the spine, the backbone of that entire series, and with the charm that it is. And Monkey Island is a series that I hope to get to play at some point. I know I've gotten around to playing Grim Fandango, but I want to play Monkey Island. Assassin's Creed hot take. People wrecked on Assassin's Creed 2 post 2 because of franchise fatigue, not because of the gameplay or story. I do agree with that. I do agree that franchise fatigue had a part in that, but I also can kind of see how the games post 2 were just not as good, except for maybe Black Flag. So we'll see. And then I'm working on Revelations, and the Ezio trilogy works amazingly as one long experience. The Ezio trilogy. Okay, I get that. So, okay, let's move on. Oh, I can see the one on my screen, but you guys can't see it. Yes! Burnout 3. My favorite all-time wrestling game. I'm not wrestling. Golly, no, cut that. My all-time favorite racing game. Such a fantastic game. So good. It's I sunk a ton of hours into the Xbox playing Burnout 3 Takedown, and every game that I played afterwards, I didn't play Paradise, but I did play Revenge. It didn't feel the same. It's almost like Burnout 3 was just lightning in a bottle with how good that game was, how beautiful that game was, how the physics of that game were so tight. Such a good game. Love it. Everything about it. Fallout 2, I have to admit, I don't know much about the Fallout series before Fallout 3. I'm one of those fans. But I am of the mindset, or I am aware of the mindset that Fallout 2 or the early Fallout games are considered like god tier, but they almost have to be put in their own series, since there was such a drastic change in the gameplay style of the series when Fallout 3 happened. So, but Fallout 2, you got to give it its flowers, because it was still a masterpiece in its own right. Glad to see that it's on the list. And then number 93 is League of Legends, which again, I have no bearing on that series. I can't really comment too much on it. The game, it's one of the most popular games in the world. It's probably I think it's the single most popular esport in the world. And they just got done making one of the best TV shows I've ever seen on Netflix, in the League of Legends world. So hey, give League of Legends all of its flowers. It's done a good job. I don't like that the league is there. It should be there, but I don't like its presence. It's doesn't seem very objective of you, but at the same time, I think I get it, Josh. Okay, let's keep going. So, moving on. 92 is Mega Man 3. 91 is Animal Crossing New Horizons. Okay. Mega Man 3, I'm a little surprised to see that there, but honestly, any of the first three Mega Man games. Come on in, Sloth. Thank you for the hosty host, buddy. Any of the first three Mega Man games can be seen or has a spot probably on this list. Mega Man 3, I'm surprised to see it this low, but we're most likely going to see Mega Man 2. We're most likely going to see Mega Man 2 pretty damn further up the list. I think we should, but we're going to find out. Again, Mega Man's not a series that I played a whole lot of. I remember turning on Mega Man X. I turned it on when we got the SNES Mini, and it was fun. I was enjoying my time with it, but I never finished it out. I never saw it out. As an NES nerd, Mega Man 3 earned its seat. Good. Okay, that's good to know. As my friend, I don't think you can see his name, but Josh, the NES nerd, said that as an NES nerd, Mega Man 3 earned its seat. I get that. Yeah, the first three Mega Man games are all classics. I just know the Mega Man 1 is hard as absolute hell, so we will see. Hey, gonna lurk adjusting for my Fallout 4 mod list. Not a problem, Sloth. Thank you for the lurk, buddy. Thank you for the lurk. Alrighty then. And then Animal Crossing New Horizons. Animal Crossing New Horizons absolutely deserves a spot on the top 100 greatest games of all time list, if for nothing else, what it meant for the impact of on the world that it had, which was, remember, Animal Crossing New Horizons, in a really fucked up way, like benefited hard from everybody staying home in quarantine, and then all of a sudden, everybody could get together and build their islands, and that impact and on the social aspect of the game is going to be felt forever, and I think it's earned its spot on any sort of top 100 list. I think this is a good spot in that it's not too high because the game itself, it's just an Animal Crossing game at the end of the day. But Animal Crossing is just such a it's such a calming experience. It's like Nintendo's the OG Stardew Valley is what Animal Crossing reminds me of. And but the thing is that gameplay loop is legendary. Like, people line up for Animal Crossing games, and that game was no exception. Austin says Doom Eternal as well. Yes, correct. Come on in, Austin. Good to see you as well here, man. Good to see you as well. Doom Eternal as well. I don't think we're going to see Doom Eternal on this list, although I would be surprised. I actually think we're probably going to more likely see Doom 2016 over Doom Eternal on this list, but we're going to keep going to see what we got. I wouldn't know. I'm sorry, freak. Okay. 90 Thief. Yes. And Thief 2. This is another game that I've been wanting to try and get my hands on in some way, because I know the Thief games are legendary in their own right. For as being some of the best stealth games ever made. I really wish I could get my hands on it. Now that I have like a proper gaming PC / gaming laptop, I'll try to see if I can find it somewhere. I hope it's on Steam. I would hope so. I got Thief Gold. The controls are complicated. Yikes. Well, luckily this is Thief 2. The series is on Steam. Sick. That's all I want to know, because this is definitely going to be a game I'm probably going to dive into at some point. I've always wanted to, so I'm very curious as to what it is. But by all accounts, the Thief series is very highly revered, although it's pretty cult in its following, in that it's not overly popular in the sense that it has mainstream appeal. But there's diehard fans that have the game. Didn't Thief had a remake, right? Like, there was a Thief remake that was released recently, and it was just fine. So that's just kind of a testament in itself to the Thief series. There we go. The remake was panned, according to Josh, which that makes sense. Okay, well, let's keep going. 89, SimCity 2000. This, I don't think this was Will Wright who made this. I think he just did The Sims, right? I don't remember that, but SimCity was, a classic. I mean, SimCity was, showing that simulation games are still a thing. But the OG SimCity was like that. The OG SimCity was like that, where they showed that simulation games could still be, a household name, could have a standing in the video game industry. SimCity was the same guy? Cool. Will Wright was the same guy. Awesome. So Will Wright, I mean, he's a genius. He's the guy who basically invented the simulation genre, so you can't beat that. Woot! I'm not sure, but it's Sims, so I'm here for it. Says Sims Freak. I see you, girl. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Over here, I forgot to put the chat next to you guys so I can see what you guys are saying. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll do better next time. Okay, 88 Inside. We bought this game. We played it. We thought it was fine. We thought it was good. This game is probably on here more so for impact than it was for quality. Even though the quality is perfectly fine, the game works well. It plays great and all of that. But I think this was more so because this game was caught up in the initial indie movement of video games, of the indie video game like scene, when that got pushed through and started going through those. Don't have to. I'm not going through those. I'm not making a whole lot of sense here, but bottom line is this game was more so for the impact on the indie movement back when, like, Braid and what's the one I'm looking for? Super Meat Boy. I think this one is a little bit further out, a little bit afterwards, but it was a very high quality indie game, so it earned its spot there. I get that. 87 is Titanfall 2. This is very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Because people either love Titanfall 2 or they never played it. Exactly. Titanfall 2 is one of the best FPS games that many haven't played. And I'm a little sad that I'm also one of them, because I actually wanted to make a point to play this game just so I could give it its due. I've never played this game. Let's see. Well, look who's inside again. Went to look out for a new place to hide again. For freak. Love the indie movement. It's still happening, but no big individual game booms anymore. Not quite, but it was... The indie movement was very good for the industry. Very, very good. Because if you haven't, you should play Limbo, then Inside. Oh, you know what? I think we played Limbo instead. I think I got it mixed up, because Inside and Limbo were from the same developer, right? Yeah. I think I got those ones mixed up, but yeah, we played Limbo instead. So we haven't played Inside yet. So I apologize. That's my fault. But 86 is 20 Pro Skater 2. Number 86 is Metacritic's highest rated game of all time. Like, it has a 98 or 99 on Metacritic, or it's like second on the list behind Ocarina of Time. and it's only 86. Sports games, what can you do? Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 soundtrack though, forget about it. Forget about it. Pro Skater 2, I have thoughts. Ernest Place, I like other members of the series, but that's nostalgia. The game that we owned specifically was Pro Skater 3 and then Underground 2. So those are the games that we played the most, and we loved them. Absolutely loved those games. Okay, have fun in the BRB Freak. Have fun in the Burb. And then 85 is Monster Hunter World. I have opinions on this game for myself, but I can't deny that it was still a very highly popular game. This is just not one of ours. It's not one of ours in that we're not overly social gamers, honestly. So when my brother was the one that was playing it, and he maybe joined a raid once with a good friend of his, but it was just the two of them, so there wasn't a big party. So he ended up playing by himself, and this game just doesn't do itself justice by playing by itself. So I feel like there's a bit of a cap to how great Monster Hunter World can be, and honestly the Monster Hunter series in general, except for those spin-offs of the new story games based. Those should be pretty interesting. I don't think any of them will ever make a top 100 list, but still. No 2 is my favorite of the series. Underground 2, fantastic game. Love it. Love everything about it. Let's move on. The Resident Evil 2 remake. Look at that. I played this game recently, and I badly wanted to play it. I loved it. It was absolutely fantastic. Everything about it just works. There's so much love and care put into that game. It is shocking, absolutely shocking, that the best game that Capcom has made in years was a remake of already one of their best games that they've ever done. Well, actually, I shouldn't say shocking that it is, because it shouldn't say shocking. What was shocking was how strong the execution was. That was shocking. It was an amazing game. Play Resident Games I have to mute for reasons. I know you're not crazy about zombies, freak. And Josh says, I still haven't played any Resident Evil games. You should definitely try and sink your teeth into it. If it's a hard game to play in and of itself, because it's hard and like it's tricky. Like it's a tough game puzzle wise and stuff like that. But I think you owe it to yourself to be able to play the Resident Evil 1 remake, because that was a lot of people's first Resident Evil games, and man, it's good. It's good. System Shock 2, the OG BioShock, is how I think about this game. System Shock 2, same developer too. Irrational Games, if I recall correctly, but even more abstract and obtuse than the BioShock series can possibly be, in that there's even more like not open world, but more like non-linear progression throughout the game, is my understanding of it. System Shock 2, I have not kept up with the saga for the remake that's coming, but that's how I planned on playing the System Shock game. So I hope everything's going okay with that. System Shock 2 somewhere though, I need to play it at some point. You need to play it somewhere. You own the game, but you need to play it at some point. I get that. I respect that. Yeah, Sloth loved BioShock. I know BioShock was not one of mine, and that it's just not my style, so I didn't really take to it, but my brother loved it. Like, absolutely loved the game, and so I know I was in the minority with that, in that regard. And I know it's one of the best games ever made, so I want to give System Shock 2 its due at some point. Mortal Kombat 11, I have to say, I think I would prefer Mortal Kombat 9 over of any Mortal Kombat game if there's going to be one. Mortal Kombat 9, like, changed the series. One of the best things about the PC as a platform is its backlog. Oh, yeah, I get that. And there's going to be, if you have a PC and it was released on PC, there's going to be a way to play it. I get that. Mortal Kombat 9, like, changed the Mortal Kombat series, like, forever. And by reminding everybody where its roots were, and just like that. So, Mortal Kombat 11, good, fine. I personally would prefer the Mortal Kombat 9, because also the story was just fantastic on that one, too. But that's my opinion on that. With our emulation, his library is the largest ever. Yes, exactly, 100%. And Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5, I've kind of been experiencing this game vicariously through my brother, because he's been going through it, and honestly, that game is insanely impressive. Like, damn, this is a good game. The Persona series is almost like almost again, kind of has a cult following in of itself, because anybody who plays the Persona games, they ride or fucking die by them. Like, anybody who plays a Persona game, Persona 3, 4, 5, whatever, are most likely to say that it's among the best games that they've ever played in their life. Among the best games they've ever played in their lives. And from what I was watching from my brother playing it, it looks pretty fucking good. And I was following along with the story that as he was going on. Everything about that game, there's just so much love and care put into that game. So, yes, Persona 5, if anything, I thought it could have been higher, but okay. Let's move on. Wow, this is low for those. Whoa. Sorry, I meant to not critique. I don't want to critique for any of these, but in my opinion, I think what Dark Souls has done for what Dark Souls has done in basically inventing a brand new genre, at least makes it out to be a top 50 game of all time. Now, does that mean that there's better versions of the game? Probably. I can imagine. I can buy personally that one of Bloodborne or maybe even Dark Souls 3 or even Sekiro. Well, it's not really much of a Soulsborne game, but I can buy that one of those games would probably be higher on the list. But Dark Souls was the one that really created the standard, so I think it deserved a little bit of love. Fortnite is the most popular game in the world that's not named like Pokemon or something like that, or not named League of Legends or something. So I'm a little surprised that Fortnite's a little bit low. It's a little low. I would probably put this around the 60 range, but I can see why this one's here. I'm actually shocked that Fable 2 is here at all. I'm actually shocked that Fable 2 is here at all. Not that it's a bad game, but I didn't realize it was that highly regarded. It was that highly regarded. The game was fun. It was good. I enjoyed my time with it, but interesting. But you know what? I'm happy for Fable. It's got a huge love. Yeah, Fable 2 has earned its place. I get that. I don't know if I would put this above something like Final Fantasy 7 though. I just don't know if I could make that judgment though, for myself personally. About Fable 2, I never played it. Nice, freak. Nice. Apart from his game ending bug early on, Fable 2 was good. Okay, cool. So, okay. Got some pretty positive feedback on that game. Cool. GoldenEye, Ultimate, and Spelunky. Okay. GoldenEye is in the same kind of genre of game that Final Fantasy 7, or same kind of category of game, is insanely, hugely influential game that does not age well to this day. It does not age well to this day, and that's why GoldenEye, I can understand this game being fairly low, even though there's the nostalgia factor is going to be huge on GoldenEye 007 because of all, you know, everybody who was born sometime in the 90s or even in the early 2000s has their stories of staying up late at night playing GoldenEye 007, GoldenEye 007 4-player, slappers only, whatever, in Aztec, something like that. That's just how people like live their lives. Well, not live their lives, but that's how some people grew up. So the nostalgia is there, but you gotta take into account that the game just hasn't aged well. So that game is definitely an impact game for sure. I cheated afterwards once the bug was fixed, so I couldn't be arsed to play it, and probably have to start from the beginning again. Oh, talking about Fable. Okay. GoldenEye is a good game. One day I hope the GoldenEye Source fans remake the campaign as a mod one day. I want to say that this just happened recently, that there was a trademark of some sort on the Xbox Live area that they're going to remaster GoldenEye 007 for Xbox. I want to say that that's happening. I don't 100% remember, but I want to say that that's definitely going to happen. GoldenEye Source is only a remake? Only a remake, okay. An Xbox remake sounds awesome. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. I think that's happening. But Smash Ultimate, I think the amount of content, love and care, and just the story and impact that Smash Bros. Ultimate has had automatically puts it in the top 20 greatest games ever made. That game has more content than any game I've ever played in my entire life. And I personally believe that based on how tight the game feels, how tight the game is, and how great it is gameplay-wise, the amount of characters that there are, the story that was the World of Light and World of Ruin, or World of something. I think it was called World of Light. Was the story mode that was a 40-hour campaign that was all based on love and care of the Super Smash Bros. And just a celebration of Nintendo, and honestly, whatever series that they decided to include in the game. I'm sorry, Smash Bros. Ultimate is at least 50 places higher than this spot, in my opinion. World of Light says in the paragraph. My bad. Apologies, I'm not reading the paragraphs. My bad. Now we're going to remake a multiplayer only made by fans. Okay, no, I think an actual like full-on at the very least remaster is going to be coming to Xbox pretty soon, but we'll see. I think that's only rumor at this point. But Spelunky 2, unfortunately, I do not know much about Spelunky at all. This is not a game that I'm overly familiar with. I wish I could comment a little bit more on it, but it's a game that's all about storytelling. storytelling, you already got. You have my curiosity, but now you have my attention. I'll put it that way. Okay, Return of the Obra Dinn. I do not know what this is. It's easy to underestimate the Return of Obra Dinn at first glance. A one big game being about an insurance evaluator on an empty boat may not light your heart ablaze. What is this? I do not know what this is. It's a mystery game that empowers its players to actually solve its otherworldly, cold cases for themselves, relying on the real detective work of observation and deduction to uncover the secrets rather than highlighted objects and scripted set pieces. There's very little else like Return of Obra Dinn out there, and once you have played it, you'll undoubtedly be wishing for more. Okay, I'm in. If it's on Steam, I will absolutely play that on stream. I have never heard about this. Yeah, I'm in on that. Okay, now we got Dota 2. Huh. So is this IGN making their case that they believe Dota to be the superior game to League of Legends? Yeah, it's on Steam. Cool. I'm down. I'm down to try that. Yeah, fuck you, League fans. Says Josh. I can't make a comment on either of these because I do not play I guess arena style games or MMORPGs. No. This is not an MMORPG. It's a MOBA. I do not play MOBAs. This is not my style of game, so I cannot comment any further on this. I just do know that there was a bit of a war of like fan bases going on between Dota and League of Legends. So, damn, that's funny. I had Dota again and never played it. Freak, how many games have you owned and that you just never played? All of them? But this would piss them off a lot. Yeah, I bet that. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best Mario Kart game. So it's the best Mario Kart game that's not Mario Kart DS. So I can see this being here. But once again, I have to come back and start thinking about, okay, would I take Mario Kart 8 over Final Fantasy 7? Yes, I would. On a more serious note, no. Mario Kart 8 is one of the best racing games ever made, and just to complete and total honesty on my part, I think it's one of the best ever. So I can easily see this being on the list here. So I'm totally okay with that. Donkey Kong, the king of all arcade games. Well, one of the most popular and one of the ones that started. Mario Kart 8 is amazing, but I wish it had more tracks from the previous games. Yes, that is one thing I can agree with. I do wish it has that. Steam encourages massive backloggery. Yeah, that's true. On a lot of games, I haven't played a lot of them. That's fair. That's really just kind of a thing, just kind of hoarding games onto your libraries and then just getting to them when you get to them. I get that. But yeah, Donkey Kong. There's really not a whole lot more you can say about Donkey Kong. It's one of the most important, if not most popular, arcade games ever made. And also, it gave us two of the most iconic characters in video game history. Almost on impact alone, you can justify its spot. So yeah, I get that. I've got something from before 1980 on here, even if I think it's underrated, but still worth playing. There's nothing wrong with Donkey Kong. It's a great game. I wonder how they decided how to number this list. I have to imagine that there was some sort of that was Austin saying that, so good to see you, Austin. And a part of me has this weird theory about how these lists. Hang on, let's go to full camera quick. Let's go to full camera quick. So my thought on this is I believe that they kind of make random choices for anything like 20 and below, and then they start getting more serious. But I actually kind of think that encourages a little bit more. I actually think that kind of encourages a little bit more uniformity when you get a bunch of lists together, because all of a sudden this chaos of like one list and two lists all of a sudden starts looking more calculated when you bring in 10 or 15 or 20 lists, because at some point all those lists are going to start pointing at the same direction. All these lists are going to start pointing in the same direction of, like, you know, these games are in the top 5 of these certain lists and top 10 of these certain lists. They're all going to start pointing in the right direction. I'm going to start pointing in the right direction. So I want to say that I have to imagine that there's probably an element of randomness for these. It's kind of hard to justify Final Fantasy VII being the number 98 game of all time, but considering what other lists might be saying, I think it'll even itself out to the mean, and then we'll get its true ranking at some point. Yeah, y'all having fun with that? Y'all having fun? Yeah. That's why I don't put you guys. And I don't even have y'all's emotes. What are y'all doing? You guys are embarrassing me in front of my friends. Okay, let's move on. 70. Wow. Let it be known that IGN believes The Sims 3 is better than Final Fantasy VII. And you know what? I respect it. Sims 3 deserves to be on the list. Oh, 100% agree. I 100% agree. Yeah, The Sims 3 is fantastic. I just think it's funny. Once again, I'm treating like the litmus test of Final Fantasy 7 as the barometer. I'm like, wow, this game is better than Final Fantasy 7. No, but no, that's not how it should be. It's just, wow, these guys picked The Sims 3 as the number 70 game of all time. I get it. Hell yeah, that's cool. So again, The Sims 3 was like all the what Maxis had learned about creating simulation games and put it all in probably the best full package of a game. And best running game too in the series, most likely. Has to be random. I kind of agree, Austin. I kind of agree with that. Amazing game. Sims 2 deserves it more, in my opinion. Sims 2 Castaway, yes, but Sims 2 base game, no. Yikes. Well, it can happen. I get that. I think. Freaks List will just be the Sims games and their DLCs. Number 1, Sims 4. Number 2, Sims 3. Number 2, Sims. I messed up my numbers. Number 2, Sims, the college one. Beast gets it. Yeah, okay. And then Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Splinter Cell Chaos Theory is pretty freaking close to the perfect stealth game. That isn't Metal Gear Solid. Chaos Theory is a legendary game. It was absolutely loved when it came out. It was revered and won plenty of Game of the Year awards in its year that it came around. Yeah, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory it's that game. It's very, very good. And also one that I did not play. All right, let's move on. Wow. Okay, let's get a couple more. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island. Have not played this game a whole lot. I feel like at this point, this game is more so known as just Yoshi's Island than Super Mario World 2, because at some point I feel like they've dropped. I feel like at some point they might have dropped the Super Mario World 2 tag to it, and now it's just Yoshi's Island. But I do know that there is a Yoshi's Island series. I'm aware of that. Like what Josh said, yes. It's very niche. It's funny how both Super Mario 1 had a very weird and different Super Mario Bros. 2, and the Super Mario World 1 had a very weird and different Super Mario World 2. It's kind of funny how that works, you know? Except for Mario World 2, exactly. Sims 2 Castaway is a Wii and PS2 game. Imagine Sims with a survival mechanic and 2D version of Fallout 4's building system. Let's go with that! Yeah! Hell yeah. Silent Hill 2. Yes. 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 This game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. One of my favorite games of all time. It's one of the most impacted I've ever been from a story in a video game. And now I will admit, and I have to be completely and totally upfront with you guys, my experience with this game was the HD remake for the Xbox 360. So I did not play the optimal game running wise, but I feel like it had zero impact on how I feel about the game, because I still love the game even though I played the bad remake. What I think the remake did for me too was made me appreciate the voice acting even more, because the voice acting is perfect in the remake. Some of the best and moodiest and just it's so in character voice acting. I feel like, and I've gone through some YouTube videos of Silent Hill 2 like videos, just see what the comments say, and people would trash on the HD remake, which makes sense. It had a fuck ton of problems. It's one of the worst HD remakes ever made, but the voice acting was not the problem. The voice acting in the OG Silent Hill 2, it wasn't very good. But people trash on the voice acting of the remake when I'm like, this is objectively better. I've been in a couple of YouTube arguments, comments or arguments about that, but we'll go ahead and leave it at that. But Silent Hill 2 is a fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic. It deserves to be experienced for how meaningful the storyline is, if for nothing else. Also, it's pretty fucking freaky. Like, it's just a scary game. Hell yes, Silent Hill 2. Hell yes, freak. Hell yes to that. Haven't played Silent Hill 2 aside from Crash and Spyro. I missed a lot of PlayStation classics. Yeah, I didn't play Jak and Daxter or Ratchet and Clank, but I did play Sly Cooper. Fucking love Sly Cooper. It's probably nostalgia. It has to be nostalgia at that point. For the nostalgia goggles are on for the voice acting for that, in my opinion, because it's not great. It really isn't. AP2 GTA games earned their spots in history. Yes, 100%. If anything, I thought this one might have been the highest ranked one for the PS2 era, but hey, what do we know? Grand Theft Auto 2 San Andreas is still one of the best games ever made, and one of the few times I remember in the old magazines, it got a perfect score on the magazine that I used to have, Electronic Gaming Monthly. It got a perfect score in the same issue that Halo 2 got a perfect score. One of the only times that ever happened. and most probably, I think that we might see Vice City higher up here too. I think we might see Vice City higher up here too, but we're definitely going to get Grand Theft Auto 5, maybe in the top 20. So I want to say that we have not seen the last of Grand Theft Auto in this series. So let's keep going. 65 XCOM 2. Is this the original XCOM or is this XCOM 2 like the new one, like the brand new one? Because I want to say there's several XCOMs and there's XCOM whatever, but I'm not familiar with the series enough to really know. However, I try my best to be good. Remember, folks, pay your hookers promptly and don't hit them with a baseball bat. Well, let's think about it. I'm just kidding. Talking about in the context of Grand Theft Auto. I'm just saying. I'm on the Edge magazine that has Halo 1 on the cover. Nice. Freak, I'm not reading that for the YouTube folks. Now, this little bit down here is cutting off, but I can see the next game, and I'm going to tell you, it's a pretty interesting choice. Control, which it's a game that my brother just got done beating, and from what I could watch and from what I saw, it looked pretty interesting. But man, I'm actually a little surprised that Control was ranked this high. Control was good. It's made by the same guys who did Alan Wake and Quantum Break. Quantum Break is made by the same team that did that. And it's actually set kind of sort of in the same world as Alan Wake as well. But the game itself is very interesting. A lot of Control, but believe it or not, was inspired by the SCP website. By the SCP website. Remember the y'all know what that is? The containment protocol or containment whatever's SCP. Y'all know what that is? Basically like creepypastas all set in the same universe. It's pretty cool. But that's the main inspiration of that, where it's just a whole bunch of different anomalies that they have to take control of. XCOM 2 is 2016. Okay, so it's the new one. Okay, interesting choice for having it up there. And actually, I think Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare at 63 is probably a little low, considering its impact. I think that's actually a little low. Rather than I'm reminded of chocolate pretzels. Also, yogurt pretzels. Nostalgia. I get it. Yeah, considering the impact that Call of Duty 4 had on not just like the multiplayer aspect, but what it kind of did for like incentivizing rewards and pickups for online play, that might be the biggest impact that it's had, while also just being a very good game too. Every game has a snack that your brain merges onto it. I think I get that. But yeah, Call of Duty 4, I actually think this might be a little bit too low, but we'll see. Moving on. Rise of the Tomb Raider. That's the one I need to move on to. I played the original Tomb Raider reboot, and it was terrific. But I haven't played the other two games yet. Rise and Dawn of the Tomb. No, Rise and something of the Tomb Raider. The other one. I forgot what it was called. But yeah, the Tomb Raider reboot was terrific. Like, golly, that was a good game. But I was aware that Rise of the Tomb Raider is more highly regarded, so I've always wanted to get to it. It probably earned its spot on here. Maybe it's a little too high considering how recent it is. And there's a little bit of controversy as to how they handle Lara Croft's character throughout not just the game, but throughout the series. But regardless, if we're just talking about the merits of the game itself, then it's probably worth its spot. What probably should be higher though is Batman Arkham City. It's to this day still probably the best superhero game ever made. And it probably will be the best superhero game ever made for the foreseeable future. Arkham City is a game changer. That's how good that game is. Only Tomb Raider game I played was Tomb Raider Legend from 2006. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, I remember that. Or I might be thinking of the classic collection or the collection anniversary. Tomb Raider Anniversary. I might be thinking about that one. Never mind. I do have all pre-reboot games on Steam, though. Never played Arkham City. I played 45 minutes of Asylum, but never played Night. My brother played Night, and I watched a lot of him playing Arkham City. Honestly, that game is, man, Arkham City is different. That game, it is built different. It's fantastic. Very, very, very good. And everybody should be able to experience it at some point. One of the best Batman stories ever told, honestly. That's including movies, television, series, and comics. It's one of the best Batman stories ever told. So, moving on. We got Dishonored 2. Which the Dishonored series, I believe, has a bit of a reputation, or has a bit of it's kind of a little bit of a backlash of sorts, in that the games are good, but how good are they really? I've seen a lot of that, like on online forums and like a Twitter and stuff like that, which, again, Twitter's not real life, but still. But you get the idea. But maybe that's more so Dishonored 1. But at the end of the day, the studio is extremely highly regarded, and they have another absolute massive hit with Deathloop. So good on them for having this here. I'm not sure. I don't know enough of about the Dishonored series to know if this earned its spot, but The Witness probably did. I can see The Witness having earned its spot on this list, considering it's like one of the most popular puzzle games in the history of the world when it came out. Haven't, never played it. Not surprise freak. Nothing I'm going Epic, I think. Not played them though. Yeah, they're all supposed to be good. Well, there's 4 Arkham games: Asylum, City, Origins, Night. So The Witness is very good, and you want to talk about the indie movement, like the indie boom, like the OG all-time great indie game is this one, Journey. When it came out, it was being like put up on a pedestal, being put up and propped up as one of the great games that you will ever play in your life, and it's one of those most moving games you'll ever play in your life. So we bought it, we played it. Damn, it found a way to be impactful all those years later, because we played it very well. We played it a lot of time afterwards, and yes, look at this first line: Journey is the closest video game has come to emulating the effects of poetry. I completely and 100% agree with that. I personally believe that everybody needs to play this game at some point, just to be able to experience it. You will not spend more than maybe 2 or 3 hours on the game because it is very short, but it's an experience that needs to be experienced. Yeah. If anything, I think Journey might be a little low. If there's any game from that initial indie movement boom, then that needs to be the highest game of those. It's Journey, in my opinion. There was another game called Journey Escape. You were a spaceship shooting at flashing squares as Don't Stop Believing played. On the Atari? Play some of The Witness. It was decent, but suffered from the curse of I'll play more tomorrow another day, and they just never got back to it. Got it. Haven't, never played. Josh. On the Atari. Wow. Interesting. But Journey. Alright, let's move on. Uncharted 2? Yeah, Uncharted 2 absolutely deserves to be on here. Where is up for debate, but it's probably outside of like the Metal Gear series, the single best cinematic story video game. Cinematic video game, like the game that will come closest to experiencing a movie is probably Uncharted 2. Maybe Uncharted 4, but most likely Uncharted 2. And that's even above the Quantic Dream games. The Quantic Dream games like your Heavy Rains and your Beyond Two Souls, your Detroit Become Human sort of games. And if you want to play an action blockbuster, you play Uncharted 2. Fantastic game. Fantastic vocal performances by everybody involved. Like, that is the game. I feel like if there's a game that was ever most affected, most influenced from Metal Gear Solid, it might be Uncharted 2, because it's we'll get to it when we get there, because there's definitely gonna be Metal Gear Solid at some point. I have some words about that game, but let's keep going. Overwatch at 56. Honestly, I think this is a little low for Overwatch. I feel like Overwatch being one of the most popular games ever, one of the most popular games just in history ever, I feel like it would be a little higher than this, but hey, I've been wrong before. Team shooters or MOBA shooters, I'm just not. That's not my scene. That's not my style of games. I'm just not in the know of those. I'm not in the know. So I'll have to take the word for it. But knowing the popularity and knowing how much backing there is in the Overwatch League, the OWL, if you will, how much backing there is and how much resources have been put into that, people want Overwatch and they want it to stick around for a long time. So yeah, I get this one. I need to be Uncharted 2. It was amazing, though. It felt like someone made Indiana Jones in the modern day. That's exactly what it was, and that has to be what they were going for when they were making the game initially. So, okay. Moving on. Whoa! Apex Legends at 55. This feels high off the bat. Doesn't it? I'm not sure if I would put Apex this high. I did play Apex. I played it a little bit. It was not bad. I was enjoying my time with it, but I'm seasons behind on playing this game, so I will say I am not in the loop anymore of the game. But something about it just feels a little high on this one. This one I'm not so sure about, but does Apex deserve a spot on the list? I can make an argument for it. I can make a case for it. It's one of the best Royale games and one of the longest lasting Royale games that isn't Fortnite. You know. Let's see. The idea was Nathan Fillion playing a modern Indiana Jones, but they couldn't get Nathan Fillion, so they got Nolan instead. But he's supposed to look like Fillion. Well, considering that Fillion did the short film that is Uncharted, the Uncharted short film, you guys have seen that, right? The Uncharted short film that stars Nathan Fillion. Considering that he was the star in that, yeah, that makes sense. Short film was good, yeah. Nope. Freak hasn't seen it. Maybe at the end of this, we might watch it. Who knows? But let's move on. So, Hollow Knight, I just got done playing Hollow Knight just this past summer. Beautiful game. Absolutely beautiful. And if it wasn't for the two games, like, she hasn't never played it. she has the Uncharted short film starring Nathan Fillion. Never played it. That's pretty good. So, it's my belief that because Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night already exist, those are going to be 1A and 1B, no matter what. 1A, 1B, no matter what. But the solid number 3 of the Andy Murray of the big 3 of the tennis, if you will, is Hollow Knight. It is Hollow Knight. Because I think Hollow Knight has solidified its spot as the number 3 greatest Metroidvania game of all time. Unless you're feeling a little frisky or feeling a little fast and loose and want to put Hollow Knight above one of Super Metroid or Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Who knows? But Hollow Knight is that good. Fantastic. Josh says, fuck yes. Fuck yes. Miss Pac-Man at 53. Goddamn right. Yeah, Miss Pac-Man definitely deserves it above the original Pac-Man. Considering Miss Pac-Man is just better. It's better than a sequel. It's a rare sequel that is better than the original. Whoa, 100%. Yeah, the games that have sequels that are considered better than the originals are usually because the sequel made such a massive leap into the industry and pushed it forward in some sort of regard that it was forced to be put above the original. I think one that I think we're gonna end up seeing at some point in this list is Street Fighter 2, which is another example. You think we're just improving on the material? Yes, but I think this kind of did both for Miss Pac-Man. It did a little bit of both on that. But I spent more than my share of quarters with this game. Oh, I played Miss Pac-Man in the arcade too as well. Yeah, fun, great game, fun time. Everybody deserves it. Now we got Counter-Strike 1.6 and Left 4 Dead 2, and then right at the midpoint, Earthbound. Let's go. We're gonna have to make this one brief. I know close to nothing about Counter-Strike. I just know that's one of the OG esports and one of the first competitive scene like games ever. I didn't even know what 1.6 means in that. Counter-Strike based on a mod. Yes, I know it's based on the Half-Life. Based on Half-Life, correct? If I recall correctly. If I recall the story. Thank you, Josh, for that. And then Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 2 was my jam growing up. I played Counter-Strike back in the day, but only a little. I wasn't good at it. That's kind of how I felt about playing Halo Online. I wasn't very good at it, so I didn't play it a whole lot. But 1.6 is the first release of the non-mod version, so it's the first official standalone version of Counter-Strike. Okay, here we get the pass the mall and Left 4 Dead 2, even with the team of pals. Yeah, the mall was tough. Like that mall where you had to fill up the gas tanks. Yes, 100%. I agree with that. But Left 4 Dead 2. Again, a rare sequel that improved on every sort of facet of the original, so I completely get why Left 4 Dead 2 was above Left 4 Dead 1 on here, and I 100% believe it earned its spot on this list. How high, I'm not 100% certain, but I think this feels right. This feels like the right spot for a game like Left 4 Dead 2, considering how much of an impact it has, including the modding scene. The modding scene has been crazy for Left 4 Dead 2, and that's always got to count for something in regards to a game's impact, you know? Earthbound, though. You want to talk about a life-changing RPG? Earthbound is that game. Before, this was a Western RPG. No. It was a game that played like a JRPG, but it was made with Western sentiments. But Earthbound is fantastic in every sense of the word, every ounce of the word. The writing is sharp and funny and great. The progression is terrific. The end game is something that's unlike anything you will ever see with Gygas. Just, yeah. It's a JRPG with Western sentiments and musical influence. Yeah, that's the best way to put that. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, so Earthbound is just... I might actually open that this is probably too low, if nothing else. But Earthbound 100% deserves to be on a list like this, so I'm glad to see it that it's here. Good. All right, moving on. Diablo 2, StarCraft, and World of Warcraft. Man, look at this freaking murderer's row of like just absolute titan PC games. kicking off with Diablo 2. We're gonna have to keep all these short because I don't even play PC games very much, but Diablo 2 is just absolutely a titan of the industry, of all of PC gaming, of PC gaming. StarCraft 2 is the national sport of South Korea, if I recall correctly. I mean, I think I just spoke for itself, its impact on the game, that the game has had. Titans, Josh is right. Titans. Freak over in the chat saying, boo, wow, blows. Listen here, Freak. Listen here. You gotta respect it. You gotta respect its impact. I bought a physical copy of StarCraft the year before it became free. Oh, God. Oh, the timing. But all these, my biggest word that I can say about World of Warcraft is that it made an absolute masterpiece of a South Park episode set in the Warcraft universe, which is perfect. Still love that I have the physical copy, even if it is free now. See, that's cool. Maybe it's worth a lot. Who knows? I just go to places to either chill or kill lower level enemies, like boars. I'm allowed to have my opinion, so suck it, feels, is what she says to me. First of all, how dare you? Second of all, let's move on. Okay. Here we go. Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and then Fallout New Vegas. And then here it is, right below it too. But we'll get to that when we get to that. Knights of the Old Republic, probably pound for pound, it still might be the best Star Wars game ever made. Probably. I think you can make an argument for a game like Battlefront 2, the original Battlefront 2. Make an argument for even a game like Republic Commando, or even a game like Fallen Order. No, go away. You're ruining my video. Or for even a game like Jedi Fallen Order, a game like that. But I don't think there's a game that had the impact that BioWare's Knights of the Old Republic did. Yeah, it's Knights of the Old Republic did. It's a collector's item now. Yeah, no kidding. So, the game that pretty much kicked off or showed what the BioWare formula was for the next decade to come, or decade and a half to come, honestly, was Knights of the Old Republic, and it's a fantastic game. It's absolutely amazing in every regard, including one of the best twists in video game history. But yeah, Josh says Star Wars. Let's go. Now you're speaking Sloth language. Yep. And speaking of Fallout New Vegas, I'm actually a little shocked that New Vegas has such the reputation that it does. People love New Vegas. This family didn't. We weren't crazy about New Vegas. We just thought it was just, a nice, fun little expansion. But we sunk all of our hours into Fallout 3, and then even Fallout 4 too. New Vegas was by far the game that we had the least amount of time in. So I'm surprised that people love this game as much as it does. Got Fallen Order for free on the Origin and still yet to try it out. It's a very good game. You should definitely play it. New Vegas was the black sheep for years, but slowly the fans started to speak up. Which, again, how did that happen? I'm curious. But 44, Final Fantasy VI, this is the game that taught me I can love an RPG game. Not just an RPG game, but like a JRPG. I loved everything about this game. Not expecting to fall as head over heels in love with it as I thought I was going to. I just did not think I was going to do that. I just didn't. But man, Final Fantasy VI is a special game. Absolutely special. One of the best video game villains in the history of the world. Some of the best characters that the Final Fantasy series has ever seen. Which, damn, I would love some sort of return to that world of the world of Ruin, or the world of Light, I think is what it's called. I would love to go back to that world. That's in some sort of regard. But after all this time, I've only played one Pokemon, so therefore I can give you an expert opinion, and here it is. And here it is. As franchise. Whoa. Pokemon is loved. Of course. Yeah, I know you're kidding, Josh. No comment. Freak. Good choice. Actually, Pokemon Yellow is one of the games that we didn't play. Red and Blue, I think, were the ones that my brothers played, and they love the Pokemon series, but they haven't followed it too closely. But Pokemon it's Pokemon. It's a king. It's a king at this point, so it's all good. But we shall move on. B says, I played Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6 on PS1 and got pretty far into 6-2, but unfortunately my memory card corrupted and lost my save data. Oh, that hurts. Sorry to hear that, man. Okay, I don't really know a whole lot about Pokemon Yellow. I just know that it has Pikachu on the cover, so we're going to move on. That means I don't care about it. She has a reason to hate Pokemon. That's a good point. Let's go on. Metroid Prime and then Skyrim. Skyrim, I have some pretty strong opinions against the game, but I'm not going to voice them right now. I'll go ahead and just say I'm at peace with the fact that it's gonna make a list like this, although I really don't think it should, based on how all the technical issues that are on the game. Thank you, Josh, for agreeing with me. But Metroid Prime is one of the most impressive games ever made, and one of the most shocking games ever made. Nobody thought in their right mind that Metroid Prime was going to be the game that it was, and as good as it was. But here comes Retro Studios coming in and saying, hey, yeah, we can make Metroid Prime for the new generation. Yeah, we can make a first-person shooter. Yeah, we can keep the essence of what a Metroid game is, and keep it all the spirit of it. Yeah, we can do that. And then sure enough, they freaking do it. And not that they just do it, they knock it out of the park to make one of the absolute most impressive games ever made. And also one of the most beautiful games ever made. It is still absolutely gorgeous to look at. I have the Metroid Prime trilogy somewhere. Play them, man. Play them. They're so good. And speaking lost language, and Metroid my mom loves. Nice. Pokemon Yellow is no different than Red and Blue, apart from you have Pikachu as your starter, and he follows you around instead of being in the ball. Oh, well, that's nice. I like that. But it's Red and Blue. Got it. Okay, that makes more sense. Speaking lost language, about a Monday after lunch, one of my favorites. Nice. After I played the 2D predecessors. Got it. Okay, let's move on. Oh, Skyrim. Yeah, Skyrim is going to make one of the lists. It's been remade more times than Grand Theft Auto 5 at this point, but I have to be at peace with the fact that this game is going to make the list, and it will always will. I'm just in the minority opinion, but a game that is as technically flawed as that game is, I don't think has a right to be in a game of the greatest games ever made. Because in my opinion, the greatest video games ever made have this air of perfection to them, or to get as close to perfection as possible. That puts it, because there's a lot of video games in the world, a lot of games that have ever been made. So I think you have the right to be picky and choosy for the greatest games ever made, for the greatest games of all time. And I just don't think Skyrim clears that bar in some regards, in that regard. So, and at least in the technical aspects. So we're gonna move on though. Excuse me. Wow, we got some heavy hitters here. Okay. 40 is Resident Evil 4. I am of the opinion that Resident Evil 4 is a top 10 video game of all time. I personally believe that Resident Evil 4 is in the top 10 somewhere, at the very least in the low end tier of the top 10, based on what it did to the third-person shooter genre, and that it invented, pretty much all by itself, this game was a watershed moment in third-person shooters, and that almost every game after that has been a behind the back, over the shoulder look, aim with the toggle and stuff like that. Not aim with the toggle and stuff like that, but with set aiming and shooting like that. There's not very many games that don't do that at this point. And we're looking at one of them that does that right now, right here, in The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 is also over the shoulder and directly inspired by Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is the game that started that, is the game that is responsible for that. And in my opinion, you have to reward that sort of impact. Almost on pure impact alone, in my opinion, is Resident Evil 4 top 10 video game. But that is my own personal list. And then we have Shadow of the Colossus at 39, which is one of the most perfect games ever made, in the sense that it proves that video games are art. Video games can be beautiful. Video games can mean a lot without a lot being spoken, a lot being told. It can mean so much in that regard. Now, a problem with this game, I have to give the same sort of criticism that I would have to give Skyrim in the technical aspects, in that the game is a little rough to run. That the frame rate is not the greatest in Shadow of the Colossus, but I will regard it higher than Skyrim, because at least there's no real, in my experience, there was never any real game-breaking bugs for Shadow of the Colossus, and there was never that many. It wasn't buggy, it was just slow, because it was really high performance. Shadow of the Colossus is one I may have, but never played. Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus you're playing art when you're playing that game. You're playing a work of art. The Last of Us Part 2. The Last of Us Part 2 is a little bit too recent in my own personal list for me to start including it into greatest games ever made talks. I think because it came out in 2019, I think that means I won't begin to. No, it came out in 2020, so I won't be considering it for at least another year, until 2023, before I start thinking about it as an all-time great game, at least. But But yeah, this game is, I won't say the greatest story of all time, but it might be the most important story ever made for video games, based on the themes and based on the way it presented itself. There is a reason that this game is as highly regarded, and because even if the story made you uncomfortable and it didn't make sense, there were points where it was a little slow, but the game pushed boundaries and the game pushed what a video game story was capable of. Based on that, I'm okay with putting it on a list this early, but I wouldn't just yet for myself, for my own list, just yet. Okay, let's move on. So we got Red Dead Redemption, Metal Gear Solid, Sid Meier's Civ 4. Okay, cool. We got some good ones here. Red Dead Redemption 2, some people have it regarded as probably the best game of the seventh generation of gaming. I think we're in the seventh. I think it was the seventh gen. No, of the sixth generation of gaming. The sixth generation of gaming. What some people have it as one of the best there. I can get that. I get that. I see that. I never played it myself, but everybody who's ever played it has said it's one of the best games they've ever played. That's just the way it kind of works. It's one of those. It's almost like Persona in that regard. In that everybody who's ever played it has said, yes, this game is fucking god tier. I'm more familiar with Red Dead Revolver, but that's just me. Metal Gear Solid, I have a lot of opinions about Metal Gear Solid. I would love to spend one day or one video just talking about Metal Gear Solid and honestly my love for the game and just talk about that, but I'll keep all of that. Bottom line, what I'm saying is I am of the opinion that Metal Gear Solid is the reason that video game voice acting and video game stories are as big and as good as they are, because Metal Gear Solid was the game that showed that it is possible and it is capable of bringing Hollywood quality level voice acting, vocal performances, acting performances, and story progression into a video game. This is the game that showed that it's possible. Without this game, I firmly believe that without this game, we don't have a game like Uncharted. We don't have a game like Red Dead Redemption. We don't have a game like The Last of Us. Metal Gear Solid is the reason that this happened. It's my personal opinion on that. But okay, we'll move on with that. Red Dead G, love this game. Yes, I get that. They should have called Red Dead Redemption 2 Red Dead Revival. They should have. What were they thinking? Red Dead Revolver, Redemption, Revival. Love that. I'm in. And Civ 4, look, I don't know a whole lot about the Civilization games. I just know it's one of the. I just know that people who play Civilization, they freaking ride or die by the Civilization. I know that people love the turn-based strategy of it. It's so addicting. I get that, but I've never played it myself, so I really can't comment on it. But here is some controversy, some juicy controversy. We have it right here, number 34. Formerly the greatest video game of all time. Formerly, but not anymore, according to IGN, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. All the way outside of the top 20. What's going on? I've been saying it since Red Dead Redemption 2 was a rumor. Yeah, they wanted to. I think they wanted to just. Cash in on the Red Dead Redemption name, and without risking any sort of losses by calling it something else. I still love this game. Oh, Ocarina of Time is a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. It is, in my opinion, outside of maybe Super Mario Bros. 1, which literally saved the video game industry. It's the most important video game ever made, because there are so many things about this game that are now industry standard. Like, games from this point on have taken the cues of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. So yes, no, I completely agree. I completely agree that this game should be on the list. I think it should be even higher. It's my personal pick for what will probably be the number one game of all time, if nothing else. But yes, this game, if nothing else, is a little too low. Still never played Ocarina of Time. Never had a 64. Nothing wrong with that. Either 64 or PS1, way back in those days. 34. What exactly, Austin? It's low, man. It's low. You know what? IGN, I feel like, are the kind of people who have definitely put Majora's Mask above Ocarina of Time, which I vehemently disagree with. Okay, moving on. Minecraft, I get it. I completely get it. I completely get Minecraft. In terms of games that have never had a sequel to it, unless you count something like Minecraft Dungeons, which I don't, but a true sequel like a Minecraft 2 that doesn't exist. In terms of games that do not have a sequel, this is probably the greatest game ever made in that regard. The greatest one game wonder of all time. It probably is. I mean, the speedrunning scene, the modding scene, children. It's the highest selling game in history. There's nothing you can say about Minecraft that'll take away from its legacy as one of the greatest games and one of the most creative games ever made. On 3DS before, my sister pawned it. Man, why? Why? No, you know what? Never mind. But for the 3DS, I heard that's the optimal way to play that game. That sucks. Just said, I was on the 3DS, gonna add to my Amazon wishlist. Do it. Yeah. Number 32, Halo 1. Yes, I am completely on board with this one. Halo 1 Combat Evolved saved the Xbox. I think this game could be higher based on just the impact that it made the Xbox a legitimate console. Like, it showed that Xbox was here to stay with Minecraft. I mean, not Minecraft, with Microsoft. My bad. Got it. Again, G love this game. It's amazing. Like, it's amazing. For the time, it was a game changer, and it was another watershed moment in video game history when it showed that Microsoft was serious about being in the video game market. So, yeah, not a whole lot more you can say about Halo 1 that hasn't already been said. Moving on. Half-Life, Final Fantasy 14. Interesting. What a fascinating choice for 30. Okay. Well, Half-Life, I believe, is 31 because Half-Life 2 is going to be somewhere in the top 10. That's my personal belief. Half-Life was already one of the greatest games ever made when it came out, but then Half-Life 2 just stumped it. Like, it just, like, did the Allen Iverson step over. Half-Life 2 did the Allen Iverson step over Half-Life 1. That's how much better it was. Don't IGN? What? I said we're not commenting. We're not critiquing the list. We're just making our observations. Some friends of mine love the hell out of Final Fantasy 14. I get it. I'm just not sure if I would put it above Final Fantasy 6. But then again, I never played it, so I never played it, but I can't really judge it too much. I just can't. Half-Life 1 free of all MP was awesome back then. I was better at it than Counter-Strike. Got it. Half-Life 1 is amazing. I've never beaten the expansion, so I haven't touched 2 yet. Got it. Okay. I skipped straight to 2 and I loved it. I did it wrong. I know I did. But yeah, Half-Life is if Doom got that Doom Bible story involved and they just went all the way in on it. Because if you really think about it, Half-Life 1 is just kind of Doom, but taken more seriously, to put it in kind of shittier terms. Not bothering with any of the Half-Life games. Yeah. Related to Half-Life developer, Valve remade Quake's multiplayer in Half-Life engine and called it deathmatch source. Ooh, that's pretty cool. Okay. Final Fantasy 14, I don't know much about it. I just know about the colossal failure of the original. And colossal failure of the original Final Fantasy 14 before it had to get recreated into A Realm Reborn, which, damn. So, plus the level of dedication to players' happiness means no discussion about the best MMORPG of all time, let alone game, can be complete without talking about Final Fantasy 14. There you go. Impact. Half-Life 1 is if someone decided Doom needed to be remade for Oscar consideration. That's a very good way of putting that. I completely agree with that. Moving on. We got 29. Doom 1. Again, too low, in my opinion. And that is my, albeit a little bit biased, but in my humble opinion, Doom 1. Again, it's one of the most important games of all time. Based on pure impact alone, I don't think you can put this below the top 20. I don't think you can put this below the top 20 in my personal opinion, but Doom is on the list, and it's pretty high on the list too. I can see that. Tetris is going to be an interesting discussion to have because there is a school of thought that Tetris deserves to be like in the top 5 games ever made because of how accessible it was, how game-changing it was for like the casual gaming market. And the fact that it's been remade and redone and repurposed in a million different ways. I'm not of that mindset. Tetris is fine at 28. I'm not of that mindset. I personally just don't believe that a casual game like Tetris deserves to be in the same era as a game like Resident Evil 4 or what's likely going to be up there, Super Mario World or Super Mario Bros. 3. I just don't. Doom is one of those foundation games. Yes, that's a pillar game. That's a game Doom is a game that you put on the Mount Rushmore of influential video games. Where if you only had to pick 4. If you only had to pick 4. I'll think about that later. But, he said after her mother was a piss at his placement. I'm not going to read that out loud, I promise. I was going to say between you and me, guys. Okay, let's move on. 27, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. I get it. Whoa, that is an interesting choice. I respect it, but that is an interesting choice for Half-Life Alyx. Okay, let's start at the top. For Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. A lot of people are going to put Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater as the best Metal Gear Solid game ever made. I get it, and it's because the emotional impact of the story was... It's still been unrivaled in Metal Gear Solid history. It's still been unrivaled. There has never been... Hideo Kojima has yet to write a better story than he did with Metal Gear Solid 3. He just hasn't done it. He just hasn't done it. But Metal Gear Solid 3 is pretty damn close to the perfect game. If you want to get the perfect experience in that game, you got to play the Subsistence remake though. Subsistence that's like the ideal way of playing Metal Gear Solid 3. Perfect game. I have a hot take. A piece of the art needs some hindsight before it is included on all-time lists. Yes. Oh, I completely agree with that. For me, greatest video games of all time, I gotta say that there's gonna be at least for my thing, and I did this for the YouTube channel. There was a 3-year waiting period / layoff before we start considering games for all-time great game lists, and I'm gonna continue with that trend going forward with the channel. 4 years Access 2 new. I agree, and it would not make my top 100, but for what it was, it showed that VR can be a serious video gaming medium, and it showed that it's capable of doing that. So I can understand why somebody would put it here. I can even understand why somebody would put it this high, but I'm not sure if I'm ready to put it above a game like Doom or a game like Snake Eater just yet, or a game like Resident Evil 4. I'm just not there yet. Okay, so let's moving on to the top 25. God of War. I don't even have to double check, but God of War is definitely the 2019 God of War or 2018 God of War. Has to be. It can't be anything else. And that game absolutely deserved its spot. Absolutely deserved its spot. 2022 is the first year of its consideration. So I can get 100% agree that God of War is here on the spot. It's fast becoming a pillar game for VR, but it's being Half-Life. But it being Half-Life, I'm not interested. Damn, I'm surprised you're not so interested in the Half-Life series. And Josh is like, boy. New. I love that game. Yeah, me too. Okay, so 24, Chrono Trigger. 23, Portal. Here we go. Let's start getting to some of these heavy hitters. Chrono Trigger, you're looking at probably what is considered 1A or 1B, depending on what way you look at it, as of the best Super Nintendo games ever made. Best Super Nintendo RPGs ever made. I'll amend my statement. But it's usually this in a dogfight with Final Fantasy VI of one of the best RPGs ever made for the 16-bit era. Chrono Trigger being above Final Fantasy VI, it looks like the IGN made their choice, and nobody can fault them. You just can't fault them for putting Chrono Trigger above Final Fantasy VI. Chrono Trigger is that good. Right here, Chrono Trigger, widely regarded as the greatest RPG of all time. If this is the last RPG that we'll see, you'll understand why. And at this point, at this rate, Chrono Trigger still probably earned its spot. Yes, Portal. Fuck yes, Portal is here. Absolutely, Portal absolutely deserved to be here. In no way, shape, or form did this game would have any business being as good as it was. No business at all. I have never heard of it. I have a drilled Portal so I can beat it in 35 minutes. Nice. Let's go with that speed run. Josh, Freak has absolutely heard of Chrono Trigger because she loves Chrono Cross. Because she loves Chrono Cross. Unless she hasn't and she didn't know Chrono Cross was the sequel. Either way, Portal is a game that had no business being as good as it was. One of the biggest surprises in the video gaming history by just being an add-on to the orange box. Yeah, this game should be this high. Yes, this is a good spot. Oh, I meant Portal. Oh, Portal. Never mind. No, Portal's fantastic. Like it's a fun game. You should definitely watch a playthrough of it at some point. Don't need to worry about experiencing it, but watch a playthrough of it, and you'll understand why. I think. See, go do it. It's good. Yeah, it's good. Number 22, Street Fighter 2. Yep. I think you can make an argument that this should be a little higher because of what it did for the fighting genre. Don't watch a playthrough to experience it blind. That's if you wanted to play it all. I'm just saying. But I get it. Street Fighter 2, considering what it did, I mean, it created the fight menu or the character menu for fighting games. Of course, it's going to be one of the most impactful games in the history of the world. So yeah, it makes sense. I'm happy that they went with Street Fighter 2 and not with one of the later games like Super Street Fighter 4 or 5. I'm happy they went with the OG one. But 100% deserves its slot. Over there making my nose itch. What? I can't help it. 21. Oh, interesting. I love looking at these lists. Oh, I love looking at these lists for seeing to seeing what kind of choices that these people make. Industry insiders make. I love it. Super Mario Bros., the game that saved the industry in 1985. Saved the world. Saved the video game world. They're gonna put it outside the top 20. Damn. It's got to be because that they have Super Mario Bros. 3 probably higher, and Super Mario World probably higher. It has to. I get it, but I don't think you can disallow or look past its impact on the industry, which once again, it's saved the industry. My NES nerd cred, but Mario Bros. Should not be higher than Portal 2 and Street Fighter 2. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Interesting take. I kind of dig it. I think I kind of get it. So we will see what the top 20 looks like. At this point, I assume that everybody here has gone ahead and looked ahead of me in the chat. So in the hopes that you guys have stayed blind with me, let's keep going. Haven't looked ahead. Thanks, guy. Thank you, Josh. Mario 3 deserves a top 10 slot though. Yes, 100%. Not yet. I'm rolling along with you. Cool. Let's go with 20. 20. Undertale. Interesting choice. My brother just got done playing Undertale, and he loved it for all that he loved it. He loved it for all that he played it, but he will be the first to tell you that he didn't like it more than a game like Final Fantasy VII, didn't like it more than Earthbound. He loved the game for what it was and for its style, but I don't know how to feel about Undertale at number 20. This is an interesting one. It's an interesting one. I mean, it's one of the biggest cult classics. It has one of the biggest cult followings in all of gaming. It's one of those kind of Persona games. I keep calling it Persona games because if anybody played it, they fucking ride or die by it. That is just that kind of game that it is. And you need to be Undertale. There's 3 endings, and depending on what order you do endings, there will be some changes. I didn't know that. That's cool. Never heard this one either. Yeah, Undertale is a pretty insane game. It's pretty great though. Everybody take it's an RPG with a deep plot and character run. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it probably earns a spot on the list. I'm not sure about this high though, but let's keep going. 19, Bloodborne, another very interesting choice. 18, BioShock. Okay. Bloodborne, I can see it earning a spot on the list for being probably the most high quality Soulsborne game ever made. It's probably the most high quality and probably has the biggest following that isn't like Dark Souls 1 or something like that. So I get it. I can't really comment on where I think this game probably should end up being at number 19. I'm not too sure how high or how low this should be, but just gut instinct right off the bat, I think this feels right. I think that feels okay. This is a lot, but a friend of a friend worked on BioShock and BioShock 2. Ooh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's cool. I got gifted Undertale on Steam, still not played a lot. We'll play like 5 minutes. Undertale is like a game that is just crazy. Freak, yes, but would you kindly? BioShock. There's not a whole lot more I can say about BioShock that hasn't already been said. It's one of the greatest games. It's one of the greatest games ever made. It's deserving of its spot. If anything, this might actually be a little too low. I can see an argument being made for BioShock being a top 10 game of all time. So as of right now, I can see that this game is spot. So far, I'm not too upset about the top 20 so far. I feel good about this. Welcome to the circus of value. I like that. 17. Yes, 100% agree. Completely and totally 100% agree. I'm very, very, very happy that The Last of Us is in the top 20. I was hoping they would have a dark horse claim for the top 10, but The Last of Us, I said that The Last of Us 2, Part 2, had what might be the most important story ever made. And just showing how much a story in a video game can mean. The Last of Us 1 might have the greatest story in video game history. I legitimately, completely, and totally 100% think this is the best story in gaming ever told. I really do believe that. And so just based on the strength of the story, along with the gameplay is extremely tight and it just works. The story beats are amazing. The characters are so easy to just fall in love with and want to root for. Everything about this game, it almost felt like lightning in a bottle if The Last of Us Part 2 didn't happen and they didn't do it again. Let me put it that way. That's how I feel about The Last of Us 2. Let's move on. Great spot, great game. 16. The Witcher 3. I have opinions on The Witcher 3, but I can't say them because I didn't actually really play the game. So, okay, fine, whatever. The Witcher 3 can have it. Can have its spot. I actually played it, so whatever. That works. Halo 2, I think I can understand Halo 2 being there. I can understand Halo 2 being this high. I can understand it being higher than Halo Combat Evolved. I mean, what Halo 2 did for Xbox Live, Xbox Live gaming in general, was just in of itself. They proved that online gaming could work and matchmaking and stuff. Well, online gaming on consoles, put it that way, because I know Unreal Tournament and Quake and the PC gaming, whatever like that. And all that good stuff. But for the consoles, having the PC gaming experience on multiplayer for consoles was unheard of. But sure enough, they fucking did it. So I think if nothing else, Halo 2 will have its impact in the multiplayer world is the reason why this game is this high. So I'm good with that. Okay, moving on. Man, if FIFA made it, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Yeah. This is probably for the best spots. So, Symphony of the Night made it this high. That means I have to believe that Super Metroid is going to be somewhere in the top 10. I have to believe because I don't believe most people would put Castlevania Symphony of the Night above Super Metroid in greatest games ever made. Halo 2 bringing the multiplayer? Hell yes. I did enjoy watching him play though. Oh, you enjoyed watching G play Bioshock? Okay, I got you. Yeah, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I got about halfway through when I was playing this game on stream, and I had to stop because life just got a little bit too busy. I want to restart this game at some point. Maybe not on stream, but just in my own time because I was loving what I was playing in this game. I was absolutely loving it. Did I watch someone play through that? I don't remember who, but he was a weirdo. I do my best, Josh. You don't even know, dude. Okay, moving on. Whoa, this is high. Hades at 13? Okay. As somebody who played the game and beat the game, got the endings for the game, I did everything except go full completionist on the game. I'll just say that. But as somebody who did all that, man, it was good, but it's not I don't think it's the 13th best game ever made. I think it's more comfortable. It would be a more comfortable spot somewhere on like the top 40 or something like that. But Hades it's good. It's very, very good. The gameplay loop is very fun. But I'm not sure if I have what it takes to put this game above a game like Doom. Against a pillar game like Doom, you know? And Hades is too new. It is too new that I would not put it on my own personal list. I played it last year, I think. Hades, that game that launched without. I'm not going to read that out loud. I can't. So that's just for us, guys. But yeah, Hades is too new. I kind of agree with that. But yeah, this one I'm not so sure about being this high, but I can respect IGN for liking it this much because the game was extremely highly regarded. It just swept all the Game of the Year awards for its time. Moving on, Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah, this one makes sense. If there was going to be any Grand Theft Auto 5 game anywhere sniffing the top 10, it was going to be Grand Theft Auto 5. I completely agree with that. I think I gotta look ahead because my brother texted me because he's playing the game right now what number 11 is. I think I know what it is, and I'm gonna be very, very happy if I remember it. But to just talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 real quick, Grand Theft Auto 5 is the kind of game that Grand Theft Auto 5 is more so just the well, damn. I mean, the base game itself is amazing, but look how long it's been going just based off its online multiplayer. The online multiplayer is like trend-setting at this point. I have GTA 5, but I don't have a controller, so I only play for like 5 minutes. It's fine. And I need to play GTA 5 sometime. Yeah, everybody plays it. Everybody keeps buying it. It's been re-released like 20 times. So I get that one. All right. Number 11? No. Whoa, wow. Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3 outside of the top 10. That actually might be the first really, really, really hot takey part of this list. Yeah. Josh says Mario 3 is too low. I think I agree. I think Super Mario Bros. 3 at the very minimum needs to be a top 10 game. At its floor might actually be a top 5 game in my opinion. So this might actually be the first time I think I outright disagree with the placement on this list. Like outright disagree on that, but it's all right. It's all right. That just means it's gonna lower its ranking a little bit. on my rankings. Like I said, I've been working on the Super Mario Bros. I've been working on my next video is based on the Super Mario Bros. Series. So seeing this, it's gonna lower its ranking a little bit, considering it's this low. Interesting. Were they drunk when they made this list? Hey, freak, that's not nice. And to answer your question, maybe. And what if they were, huh? Nah, it's all right. Okay. I'm just saying. All right, number 10. There it is. That's the game I was expecting. Number 10 is Disco Elysium. You know, if it wasn't below, if it wasn't right above Super Mario Bros. 3, I would be way more happy that Disco Elysium is top 10. Disco Elysium, freak. We went on that journey together. Tell me it wasn't worth it. Tell me it wasn't worth it. That gaming, that whole experience. I love watching you play this game. Man, I loved playing this game. I have never played a game like this in my entire life. Play a game like this in my entire life, and I probably will never play another game like this in my entire life until there's a Disco Elysium sequel. Back when Divinity Original Sin 2 was further up the list, they said it's one of the best D&D campaigns that you'll ever play. Disco Elysium is the best D&D campaign you'll ever play. And Disco Elysium's too new. It came out in 2018, I think. So it's just beat the cutoff time for me. And for me, Disco Elysium is a top 10 video game. Is at least a top 20 video game. 2019? Okay, 2022, it just became eligible for my list, which makes me very happy. So Disco Elysium, I'm only looking at the calendar year. I'm only looking at the calendar year. So October 2019, I know 2022 January, but I'm only looking at my at the calendar year. That's all, because I think it just get too complicated if I go by month. But yes, Disco Elysium, the 3-year threshold has been passed by. Yeah, this game is that good. This game is that good. This game is that fascinating. Is that interesting? This is a game that is set in probably the best D&D campaign world ever made. I'm just, yeah, I love this game. I loved it. Everybody should play it. All right. 18 is the newest for me, I think. Okay, I got you. Yeah, mine was 3. I think you said yours is 4. So I get that. 3 years. I think you said yours is 4 years. So I can understand that. Number 9, Half-Life 2. Yeah, this makes sense. Half-Life 2. Oh, whoops. I went too far. That's too new. That is no, it's not. I think it came out in 2019. Never mind. It's fine. It's fine. But Half-Life 2 is, I mean, there's not a whole lot more that I can say about the game that hasn't already been said, but the quality of that game has still unmatched for most PC games and most games in general. I don't think there's really ever been a first-person shooter that's been made since that's like this, or anything that will reach those heights. Yeah. Red Dead Redemption 2, I think Red Dead Redemption 2, I feel like this one might be just a little bit too high, but then again, I never played it. Just gut instinct tells me that, but I feel like people have quite a bit of a problem with Red Dead Redemption 2 and the way that the game played and the way that the game itself played. But I'm not going to hold that too much against it. I got to play it for myself before I make a real solid judgment on it, and I want to do that at some point. I want to make a solid judgment for these games. Yeah. Yep, they rendered that, freak. They 100% rendered that. Right here. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Number 7. Super Mario 64. Super Mario 64 is the game that dragged the video game industry kicking and screaming into the third dimension. I think that's a part of the quote that I use in my latest script. They took the jiggle of Physics Engine and applied it to the balls. Let's go. Gotta love that for Red Dead Redemption 2. Gotta love it. Super Mario 64, I mean, again, I want to go in a different direction and giving my appreciation for Super Mario 64, but let's not just talk about the quality of the game. How about the quality and the longest lasting impact of its speedrunning scene, which I've become a little bit more familiar with by watching some speedrunning videos. But Super Mario 64, 120 star record is considered the holy grail of video game speedrunning. That is the goal for anybody who's worth their salt on as a speedrunner or a Super Mario 64 speedrunner. The fact that Mario 64, its reputation has that over a game like Super Mario Bros. Or another game like Contra or any of those other classic games or Ocarina of Time, something like that, then yeah, the game means a lot to a lot of people, and that's really cool. Mario 64 is on here. Odyssey should be up here too. Actually, no, I don't think so. I don't think Odyssey even is gonna even make this list. Not gonna lie, I never played 64. Actually, I didn't either. I'm just going based on like based on the impact of what I know about the game already. So I haven't played a lot of it. I'm about halfway through the game for myself, but its impact on the industry just can't be overstated. It just can't. So moving on, number 6. Interesting, Mass Effect 2. A lot of people say that Mass Effect 2 is the best game of the 6th generation of gaming. Obviously, a lot of more fans' favorite games. But what about the critics? Because these are critics that are doing these. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be here. I'm curious, but we'll see. Mass Effect 2 is a game that's considered one of the best games of its entire generation. So I can understand why this game would rank as high as it does. I myself did not play it, but my brother did. He gave it an absolute rousing endorsement. IGN gave it a 10. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. For Odyssey. I know that. I think they gave Mass Effect 2 a 10 too. I don't remember. But either way, Mass Effect 2, I can get it. I think I can understand, but I don't think this game would make my personal top 10 just based on the impact. The impact on the game, the impact is not as widely felt in Mass Effect 2, but the quality is just all there. It's just a quality. Whoa! My YouTube video. Dre, come on in with a tier 1 sub. Thank you so very much, girl. Thank you so much. How are you doing, Dre? Hope you're doing well, staying safe, and thank you for the sub, for the tier 1 sub, girl. I cannot thank you enough for that. Hope you're having a good day at work. So we're in the middle of going through a top 100 list of the greatest games of all time, a new one from IGN. So yay. So yeet. Where was I at? These are the review and the tone scale reviews. There isn't one below a 9. Got it. We shall see. So, staying safe but not sane. Got it. Yeah, I understand that. Okay, moving on. So, Mass Effect 2, I'm not sure if I put it in my personal top 5 based on impact of the game itself, but the quality of the game is unmatched when it comes to this. So, let's keep going. Ready. And moving on. Super Metroid. Yeah. Super Metroid makes all the sense in the world. And that it would be right here. And that it would be here. Super Metroid is Super Metroid. It's amazing. Like, it's one of the best games. It's one of the best games ever made. One of the best soundtracks ever made, too. Again, a huge speedrunning scene. Huge speedrunning scene, but that's, I guess, besides the point of the impact. The fact that it did, along with Castlevania Symphony of the Night, pretty much created a genre in of itself is pretty impressive, but that almost understates the quality of this game. It almost does, so we shall see. Yes, you are done, Freak. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving everybody that shout out, Freak. Thank you. Number 4, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. I beat this game. I played this game. It was good. I enjoyed my time with it. I wouldn't put this above Ocarina of Time, but I enjoyed my time with this game. I don't know where that mindset changed. I don't know at what point that started happening for myself, and I don't have anything against it. People can have their opinions for whatever they want to say. People can go and change their minds about any form of media as time goes on. That's just the way the world works, and that's just the way it kind of is. So I'm curious about when that happened, because for the longest time I always knew and I always figured that Ocarina of Time was the consensus best game ever made, but now Ocarina of Time is not even considered the best game in its own series. So I'm curious. This game is the bane of my existence. Never played a Zelda game. Wow, dang, Dre. It's okay. I haven't played too many games anywhere. I tried playing Link to the Past, but the copy I was playing on glitched in a way where once you go outside, if you walked off screen, you appear on the other side of the screen, arcade side. Whoa, that's weird. That's not right, Josh. I love it, but I can't beat it. I beat it, but it was not easy. Not easy at all. So Link to the Past, it's one of those legacy games. I'm not sure if I go so far as to call it a pillar game, but it's definitely one of those legacy games where everybody who's played it, who are fans of the series and non-fans of the series, they love it. So moving on. We're going to move on. What's number 3? Whoa. Here you go, Josh. I know you're asking about this one. Portal 2 is the number 3 game of all time. You know what? I'm about it. Portal 2 was that good. When the game was announced and when it was coming around, I was not 100% sure how they could expand Portal 1 into a full-fledged story. Then I played the game. Good Lord, this game is special. Like, godly. Everything about this game is work. I'm way too bad at the game. No, don't let that hold that against you. No. Go to check out Portal Stories Mel. It's free if you have Portal 2. It could be a sequel. I have it on the Xbox. Had it on the Xbox. Portal 2 is good. Portal 2 is that good. Yeah. And in some form or fashion, I think this is one of those games that needs to be experienced at some point in life. It really does. Portal 2, can't really say a whole lot more about it than Wheatley is amazing. The story and the relationship with GLaDOS is amazing. The end game is amazing. Everything about this game, it's amazing. It almost made Chris and I get divorced. No. I didn't mean to say that on my channel. Sorry. On my YouTube channel. Okay, moving on. So what's the number 2 game? I think it was number 2. It was one of the Portals. That's fine. Yeah, the second one is the one that had multiplayer. So ready. 1, 2, and Super Mario World. Yeah. Super Mario World. This one makes all the sense in the world. That Super Mario World would be considered one of the greatest games. To this day, it's still considered like a top 5 game in the history of the world. Not just by IGN, but everybody. Super Mario World is somewhere near the top of everybody's list of the greatest games ever made. Super Mario World 2, I think its floor is probably top 5. In my personal opinion, floor is top 5. I can be convinced to put it one way or another in terms of where to place, but top 5, yes, 100%. Just that one. There was an extremely beautiful song made for Portal 2 that played off of the radio on only one letter. I don't remember what it was, but you're right, it did. I remember that. What will number 1 be? So, spoilers, I already know what number 1 is. Because it was texted to me by my brother, and we were talking about discussion when I was talking about upcoming videos for the channel, upcoming videos from our YouTube channel. So we were talking about it. So we talked about it, and we talked about like the impact. So I already know what number 1 is. I'm actually more curious what you guys say. It's Rock Band. Imagine if Rock Band was number 1. Guitar Hero Rocks the 80s is number 1. Ready? The number 1 game according to IGN. On the brand new list of all time, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And you know what? Yes. I'm okay with this. I am completely okay with it. Breath of the Wild is a game that was delayed upon delayed. It missed an entire console generation because it just wasn't ready yet. But the reason why is because they wanted to make this game as absolutely perfect as an open world game as you could possibly get it. And the goal they had of that game to make every feasible thing that you can see in that game possible to see and to explore, to go to, that should be the gold standard for every game, every open world game from this point onward. This game is the gold standard for open world gaming. This is the new gold standard. Even games like Grand Theft Auto 6, whenever that'll come out, games like Elder Scrolls 6, games like Horizon Forbidden West, games like that now need to look at Breath of the Wild to say, you know what, we need to hit this bar because this bar was so good, it was so high, and it was so clear, and it was so well designed and so well created that, yes, Breath of the Wild is the number 1 game of all time. And I can understand why, because it is the new bar for the most widely used genre of video game outside of the first-person shooter. I didn't expect it, but yeah. You know what? Yeah. Never played it. Sorry, freak. And also, you know what? Going based off of personal experience too, Breath of the Wild has turned on an entire new generation of non-gamers picking up a Switch and buying a Switch and playing this game for the first time. So many spouses and that we know, or significant others that I know, bought a Switch so they could play this game and Animal Crossing. But it was they are almost becoming gamers because they were hooked on the gameplay loop that was Breath of the Wild. Everything about this game, everything about this game was made with so much love, tender care, and that really was so much love and so much care put into it. That yes, I completely 100% buy how this is the #1 game of all time, according to at least one publication. The game was released in 2017, so we have cleared the cutoff date, the cutoff year threshold already. So yes, I get it. I completely get this one. I 100% can understand this. They did their video of the game of the year for 2017. Breath of the Wild is probably going to end up being the best game of this console generation. Outside of maybe Last of Us Part 2, maybe. Disco Elysium is not really out of this. Yeah, it is. Disco Elysium maybe might be there somewhere, but Hades might have a call. But Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, yeah, I can get this being the #1 game of all time. So IGN, kudos to you guys. So that's one new list from a publication that has been doing re-upping their own list for quite some time now. I believe looking at the data sample that I'm using for my newest video, their lists have go back to as early as 2004 or 5 or something like that. So it makes sense. It makes sense that you would take a game and want to update your list for the newer games, for the newer generations that are coming along, because there's always some amazing games that are coming out. Some of them were a little bit newer than I'm used to, and some of them were a little newer that I would not put on my list, my own personal list immediately just yet, because of how new they were. Games like Hades and Red Dead Redemption 2, they're just a little bit too new. Maybe not Red Dead Redemption 2, but The Last of Us Part 2 is definitely one of those games that I probably would not put on my own personal list just yet, only because it's too new, because we need to get past that 3-year threshold for myself. That's just the standard for the channel that we're going to go with. But I want to just make one thing clear, and just hope you all watching understand that this list was not to be critiqued. I had my reactions and I had my thoughts about specific games, sure, but this was not meant to be a critique for IGN. This is just all about observation. This is just me taking a sample that they are now adding to a data set from IGN, from my own data set. I have compiled a list of God knows countless lists already for myself, and I'm using that to base videos off of, with the help of videogamecanon.com. Once again, shout out to videogamecanon.com for doing that amazing hard work by compiling all these lists together for himself, and him and the editor-in-chief doing behind Video Game Canon, doing his own method for ranking his own personal greatest games of all time lists. Like, guys, I'll put a link in the description to his website, so please go and watch this. Go and visit his website, and follow him on Twitter too, because that guy puts a lot of work into his craft. So kudos to him. And I did use a lot of the lists that were featured on Video Game Canon, because I'll be honest with you, one thing I'm learning about these lists is that there's not really a whole lot of them. Not really a whole lot of these lists that meet the criteria of mine that I set in my last video. There's not a whole lot of lists that follow that criteria. So, but IGN being what they are, and knowing that the criteria that they use for themselves, this list will be added to my own data set. With all that in mind, once again, I love looking at these lists. I love discussing them. I love talking about them. I love just debating about them and going about that, because it's fun for me. This sort of thing is fun for me, and that's why I am openly choosing to just treat these subjective lists as objective stats, so that we can maybe find some sort of way of around to consensus of what are the greatest games ever made. So how are we going to continue going forward with the channel, or not with the channel? How are we going to continue going forward with how we approach these lists? Well, one, we're going to go ahead and add this one to my own little data set that I use. I'm going to, based on the video that I've been doing right now, I've been in the middle of research. I've been in the middle of research for my latest video, and because the video is taking a little while to get out the pipeline, considering I am doing everything by myself. And then IGN went ahead and released this list while I already had the stats compiled. So I'm going to need to take this list into account and need to redo some stats based on it. But The video's gonna be coming around. My latest analysis video is gonna be coming around. Hopefully in the near future. In the meantime, I kind of wanted to just spend some time going through this new list and talking about it and going through it with you guys as a bit of a stay busy work for the YouTube channel. I would like to keep the YouTube channel going and involved, you know. So with all that being said, guys, thank you all very, very much for going along with this video and coming and just hanging out with me while we dive through a brand new list. Whenever there's a new one that's like, whenever there's a new list that meets my criteria of one that would be I could accept for my data set, we'll go ahead and take a video to discuss it and talk about it and go through them and make some observations. With all that being said, thank you all very much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have had a good day so far. Hope you guys are having a good night so far if you guys are here watching me at night, and I will see you all next time.